Okay, and we're live. Welcome.
Excellent.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Yeah, now I'm all nervous. Thanks.
Nothing to be nervous about. Well, this is the first episode, actually.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No, not at all.
So
No, it can't.
you
be
have to
any
make
worse
sure you're funny. Everything you say has to be clever and interesting. Okay, Peter? No pressure.
That's not going to work.
Well, welcome, Peter. Peter Mills is our guest today, the PAL USA National Coordinator, right?
For American Armfighter, yes.
I
All
like
right.
it. I like it. So, Pete, I really don't know much about your history in the sport, to be honest with you. And you do arm wrestle. I mean, I believe I know that to be true.
A little bit.
Yeah. When did you start?
1986.
All right. Well, I was born in '86, so.
Oh, wow, that hurt. That hurt a lot.
Hey, you know.
Peter, I was just telling, we were talking about Jerry right before you came on, and the first tournament I ever entered was 1988. And it was put on by her and Bill. I just showed him the T-shirt. I still have it. So we're in the same age group, even if John's still a whippersnapper.
Yeah.
What a loss, right? That's horrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania originally, so Mike McNone out there in Jersey, Bill and Jerry in the north in the Northeast. I mean, Ray Darling up in New York. I mean, we'd be leaving Friday, pulling Friday night, pulling Saturday in Jersey, heading up to Boston or Maine, and Sunday. I mean, 30, 40, 50 hours on the weekend to get home, and those guys. That's why arm wrestling is what it is today, because of people like those three.
Yeah, glory day stuff. I like that.
Amen.
I like that.
Amen.
Yeah, it's a big loss. I mean, we were just, John and I were talking, and pretty much everybody I've spoken to about it has an experience with Bill or Jerry, or usually both of them. They've just been around for so long and, being so committed to the sport, and probably placed maybe 1,000 tournaments.
True, at least.
Of course, and it's just incredible, So,
Like
you said, it's a big loss.
Class people, super people, just great people.
So we're going to make sure we pass on your well wishes when we see Bill next week, and make sure and let him know what you said. Yep.
Yeah, definitely for me too. Seeing I just left, what horrible timing. I wish I could see him right now, but I met Jerry in 2009, so I'm kind of late to the party as far as this group goes. But I met her, and the first time I was telling Josh, I saw her. I didn't really meet her. I went to a tournament and just got smoked. Didn't know anything about the sport at all. And I looked over and I saw this little old lady sitting at a table all by herself. Like she just had her own booth. And I was thinking to myself, this is kind of bizarre, like at an arm wrestling tournament, And then the second time I saw her and I met her was at the Can-Ams, the last Can-Ams that they had in Mass in 2009. Right. And I was a novice, pretty terrible at the sport. And I think I took second and third, though, in the novice class. So I think I did all right. And she told me, she's like, "You're well on your way, young man. I saw you pulling. You're well on your way." And I'm like, wow, either she's being really nice or she's being truthful. And you kind of just get to know her. And she was a nice woman, but, she had definitely been around arm wrestlers a lot. She was
no sugarcoating from Jerry. When Jerry told you something, it was straight.
Yeah,
you had exactly what she was thinking.
That's the truth.
Yeah. What a great lady, super lady. She I used to drive her crazy. I really loved her a lot. She was awesome, and I used to try to get under her skin on purpose because I was kind of an asshole when I was a kid. Like you, Don, I was a goofball. I used to drive her nuts, and she used to yell at me and tell me she's going to kill me. But it's good stuff. That's what it's about.
Yeah. She kept those brackets in line too, man. I got yelled at several times, and her voice, man. She didn't need a microphone. I swear, you could hear her outside in the parking lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
She had that mommy voice, go right through you.
Yeah, definitely.
It's true.
I was telling Josh earlier. I think I messaged him. One of the godmothers of the sport.
It's the mother of the sport.
Yeah, this is. It's definitely a different day now. It doesn't feel the same, and it's really a shame. But hey, I mean. Time goes
we're trying to bring that back with American Armfighter. That's kind of what we're trying to do. Remember the old, you go to your regional or your local tournament, then you go to your state, which really mattered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then you go to your regional, like the Northeast or the Southwest, and now it's just a bunch of media, commercial, 4-weight class crap. I mean, let's get back to real arm wrestling.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit. I mean, the PAL, this entry into the American market is definitely new for all of us. I know you guys just had your first tournament. You get a couple coming up this weekend, including one up here at Foxwoods, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And I know a lot of people are talking about it, but it seems like the turnout at the first one wasn't what you guys hoped. But I assume you feel like that's going to start picking up in the next couple of tournaments.
The first one actually was 13 more than we thought it would be.
Okay.
We expect to start slow because we're actually at the worst time right now because a lot of the other events are having their nationals and their other organizations, their nationals and their regionals, and everybody's been training for those for a long time. But we want to get the bugs out. Obviously, Foxwoods is going to be a nice tournament, but you know, we're real happy with those guys, Dan Jenkins and the tribal council up there. You know, we have 29 events planned with those guys.
Yeah.
Foxwoods, Egan's Son, Twin Rivers. We haven't even had one down in Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, I know, Dan. We put on the the New England Championship with him last year. He's a good guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That was a great event you guys ran.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was a
good event. You guys did a good job. That's awesome.
So, yeah, I think, you know, one thing I think is great is the 7 weight classes. I mean, I do totally agree with you. The WAL 4 weight class thing, obviously that's a made-for-TV kind of thing. And I understand why they're doing it, but I think the 7 is a much better idea. It's, you know, it gives more people a fair chance of competing with people that are around their own weight and ability. And it's more what you would see on the world stage. I mean, we don't have it so much here, but that's definitely, at least the feeling I get about Europe and Russians and those guys, is that they represent more weight classes in general than we do.
They're running the same weight class as we are. Actually, Igor wrote the weight classes over there, Mazarenko. We're trying to bring the USA and Canada back to the status where it was in the 80s, when the mass team would go beat the Russian team easily. The mass state team would kick the hell out of the Russian national.
Yeah, that was a good team.
That was a great team, but it was only a state team beating the national team.
Right.
This, you know, and we're not doing that anymore. You know, we need to have organized events, organized people, weight classes, you know, good, fair competition. And right now in the American Armfighter, it's obviously not called American Armfighter, there's 17 countries competing simultaneously with us. We're all going to run, you know, locals, states, regionals, nationals. And then at the end, we're going to meet for an American World Cup, just like the Zloty over in Poland. So you're going to have some serious people coming over here. So it's going to be pretty exciting. I mean, you see how excited people are. I mean, you look at the card, the Vendetta 46. That's the who's who in arm wrestling.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and there's more. There's more people on there that we didn't disclose yet. It's going to be even crazier. Awesome. But that's everybody's. The Russians are excited. The Ukrainians are excited. The Polish are excited. Everybody wants to, you know, it's going to be nice to compete in the USA again.
Absolutely. I think that's great. I mean, it's fantastic, to be honest with you, because a lot of us lament, you know, the fact that we have a total disconnect right now between the United States arm wrestling and the rest of the world. Like, if you look at who goes to the WAF, it really isn't a representative of our best arm wrestlers. It's people that show up to the relatively small national tournaments, of which there are currently 3. So it's very diluted.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
The one thing I do really, really like about what you guys are bringing to is rigid rules. I'm really sick of arm wrestling rules in the legitimacy of those rules going out the window. I'm all for trying new things. I'm all for it. But if you put your hand up like this, close your thumbs, close your hands, every single time it goes like this. Every single time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if that's what we're going to accept, then that's one thing. But just don't tell me that, no, wrists have to be straight. They're never straight.
No. And it's a rolling go. You're firing off as soon as you close your hand.
Right. Yeah, it's such a, and it's really proven too, in my opinion, by 3 fouls. You get 3 fouls. I mean, and the excuse for that is, well, you get really antsy if you have 1 foul because it's really high intensity. It's called professional arm wrestling, man.
It's called a rule, right?
Yeah, if you go out of bounds, it's out of bounds in basketball.
So in football, we can only face the quarterback 1 time or 2 times or 3 times. You don't get flagged till the 3rd one, till his head's tore off.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
crazy.
If we want to say that these goes happen the way they happen, and if the wrists are bent and the wrists are bent, I have no issue with it at all. But if we're going to claim straight wrists, then the wrist should be straight. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I never really understood the huge necessity for these really quick set grips.
It's real simple. And I know the inside story on it because actually before I got with Igor, I pulled a lot of WAL.
Yeah.
And I did well, luckily. But Kaplan is a genius. He's a great marketer. He's a businessman. hats off to the guy. He's a very successful person, but he's not an arm wrestler.
Right.
He doesn't know arm wrestling from football. The rules were set up by a few individuals who will remain unnamed, who are arm wrestlers in that league, which greatly favors them. The elbow pads are the size of pillows.
They are.
I mean, that's why you're having all the broken arms. Last year at the regionals or the regionals here in Las Vegas, 7 broken arms and about 15 torn elbows and biceps.
It's tough.
You know, you're starting at 50 miles an hour. There's no back pressure. There's no loading. It's close your hand and fire.
Yeah.
You're out of position. It's dangerous.
Yeah, I really enjoy the idea of rigid rules. This is professional arm wrestling. You know the rules, stick to them. And if you foul out, then you fouled out. It's probably because you weren't strong enough. I mean, that's really the fact.
Yeah, I like to pop my elbow a little bit. Bill Cox will testify to that every time. Nothing wrong with an elbow pop now and again, but you get caught and you get a foul. That's what you do.
Right.
It's okay.
No, I think, you know, I understand like you do what the WAL's idea was. I mean, first of all, they were like marketing, exposure, media, which they totally knocked out of the park.
Do a great job.
But the rules were secondary. And frankly, it delegitimizes the sport when you see that kind of stuff. It's the same thing I was writing in that Straps article this week, is there's certain aspects of our sport that don't measure up to other so-called professional sports, and that almost all fall within the rules category. And so things like this, where that's actually one of your mottos, if memory serves, is rigid rules. That's what we need. We need them to be very clear. And like Leonard Harkless is a great example of this. People sometimes get irritated because he fouls so many people out, but they're fouling, you know? If you don't want to get fouled out, don't foul. And he calls everybody, no matter who they are, or how famous they are, big or whatever. And I love that about him, you know? And I think that's the kind of reffing that we need, because people do adjust to the norm if they know what the norm is, like John's saying. And if you're going to start on a hook, basically, like they do with WL, then fine, tell everybody. But if you're going to say, as John said, straight wrist, enforce it. So the idea of rigid rules is absolutely necessary. I think it shouldn't be an innovation, but it really is right now in the United States, at least.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, it needs to be a re-innovation, really. I mean, because there was quite a long time where we were fine with the rules the way they were. We had no problem following those rules. We went to Worlds as a team, and we may not have won, but we weren't fouling out. We weren't having sloppy arm wrestling. And I just don't want to see that become the norm, while the rest of the world is so used to these perfect rules. Like Zloty, I mean, that's a great example. They are so rigid with their rules, and I love that. And some people think that takes away from the excitement of the sport and audience, but guess what? I mean, every other sport has the same exact stringent rules. They're professionals who have trained to be that, to follow the rules. So they don't have nobody has a problem unless their favorite guy fouls out.
Right, exactly. We're not doing this in a barroom. This is a professional sport. We're trying to make it a professional sport. Yeah. We've signed some great deals with some great venues. We're trying to take arm wrestling out of the parking lots. We want to put it in Mohegan Sun, Foxwoods, Twin Rivers, Cherokee in Oklahoma, Disney World in Florida. Just there's the Miami-Dade Convention Center. These are events. These are venues. These are places that professional athletes compete in. Right. Not at the parking lot of Hooters.
Yeah. You're right. And the one thing that I will touch again on too that Josh brought up was the weight classes.
Yes.
For a long time, I think people wanted to chop down weight classes to keep the audience maybe more engaged. Like they don't have to keep track so much. But in my opinion, with the way the UFC's come on, being so popular, everybody knows about the UFC. Everybody understands weight classes like they haven't ever before. It's not a big deal having a couple more weight classes to make it so that we can, all have more interesting matchups. Really, I mean, I think it's great.
In the past, people didn't train like they train today. Arm wrestlers of the past, football players of the past were strong guys, a little bit chubby. Now with the supplements and the nutrition and the training, 5 pounds means a lot.
Sure.
You have these athletes who are cutting from 195 and pulling 175. They weigh in 75. The day of the contest, they're 96.
Yeah.
You can't give away 25 pounds because you're giving away 50.
Yeah. And I'm like, for myself, in the WAL, I would pull 165. I'm 168 pounds. On a heavy day.
Yeah. So that's crazy.
And for me, I really don't. I try not to, as an arm wrestler, put too much thought into my weight class, just because I kind of have that thought of, I don't care how big the dude is, I'm going to win. I try to have it, but let's be honest, if I want to set myself up for success, I have to plan a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Do you want to look across the table and see Andre Pushkar or Michael Todd or Dennis Kaplinkoff? No, they're 300 pounds. All of them. They're monsters. Timmy Bresnan, another beast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it frankly is also dangerous. I mean, there's a few of guys, you know, like Todd Hutchings and Tim Lewis cut close to 30 pounds and stuff to make those weight classes, and they have it down to a science to a certain extent. But I mean, like, for example, when Todd missed his initial weigh-in last year and had to go another 24 hours, basically totally nutrition deficient, that can't be good for you, you know? And it's not the kind of thing I think we should be encouraging in any sport, but certainly not in our sport. Because we, as you said, even though professionalism is increasing, there's still a lot of people doing things in a somewhat of a haphazard fashion. And you don't want a bunch of people trying to cut 20 pounds without, you know, doctor's assistance, because people, they can lose their spleen or gallbladder. It happens to people.
They can lose their life.
And die.
Exactly. So it's a bad idea. And I think the numerous weight classes ameliorates that, and it's a great idea.
Makes a difference. I mean, if it's 199 and up and you weigh 205, you're in a world of hurt. Or if you're going to try to get down, it's only 6 pounds. That's okay. What if you're 215?
Right.
You don't want to pull Dave Chafee. You don't want to pull, Tim Bresnan. You're going to get down to 99, and that's 12, 13, 14. Now you're starting to get in that world.
Exactly.
That crazy world.
Yeah, and it is dangerous. And again, it once again, I feel like it delegitimizes stuff. It's 4 weight classes is not enough. I think everybody knows that. Another part I liked about the last PAL show you did of the Vendetta in Vegas with Trubin and Todd and everybody. I loved the cameras that you guys had attached to the tables and the instant ability both to review the elbow falls and also for some, for when Voveda was pretty sure that Bresnan had elbow fouled, and he didn't, because we were all watching the video feed. It was easy for us to see. And then when he went over, he could see himself exactly what happened. He didn't admit it immediately, but I just think it eliminates a lot of arguments when those cameras are right there. You can just look. You just have the one ref at the table and then 2 people viewing those cameras. That's a much more professional approach.
Well, thank you. Video doesn't lie.
Yeah.
As John will tell us, you can play that back any speed, frame by frame, and you can see there's proof. There's no arguing. You say, here, look at it. It's there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's real important.
Yeah, I think those are the kind of things that are going to increase. I think they increase the notoriety for the sport. It makes it look more professional, and it encourages serious athletes. Because unlike what John was talking about earlier, it's not haphazard. You don't like get a random go. It's standardized as much as it possibly can be, and that's what is a professional sport, in my opinion.
Well, I agree, and the venues agree too. That's why the first thing they want to see is your rules, how you enforce your rules, and your insurance certificate. And I'm pretty sure you can't get an insurance certificate without rules.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, I was there for that. For the Vegas Vendetta, the last one with Tim and Vavoda. It was a phenomenal event. It was actually kind of a surprise that I was even going to be there, to be honest with you. I was actually in near LA. I was looking at places to live out there. It was either I was moving recently, and it was either between California or Minneapolis. And It just so happened that fate had brought me to Minneapolis. But I kind of found out a day early while I was there, and I knew that the Vendetta was going on. So I called Tim up the day before. And I said, Tim, I can show up. And he's like, great, come on up. So I went over, and it was a phenomenal event. Came over and trained a little bit the day after at the PAL.
Yeah. But you didn't introduce yourself, because Tim called us and said you were coming, but you didn't tell us who you were.
Oh, really?
We're all looking for you. I said to Tim, Tim, your guy didn't show. He said, yeah, he just left. I talked to him. I said, well, he didn't tell us.
Everybody was so fascinated with Chris Chandler trying to break your machine there.
Chris is a monster, isn't he?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's tough.
He's incredible, yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Peter. Did you hear back any, I don't know, was there any conversation overseas about the Bresnan-Voveda match? What were people saying about that?
Conversation. The world was on fire.
Yeah.
I think the clock stopped over there.
Well, we know what people were saying here, and John and I have been lucky enough to train a lot with Tim, and both of us had a discussion earlier that we thought he was going to do well. I mean, John trained with him every Saturday for years, and I trained with him, a few times a year. But obviously, just watching, the World Arm Wrestling Forum and the Arm Wrestling engine sites, those people definitely were like 6-0 Voveda, period.
Right.
And the opposite happened for the most part, 5-1. But so what do they have to say about it?
They were in total shock. No one could believe it. No one, they can't understand it. And, a lot of them were saying, oh, Voivoda wasn't what he was. He wasn't this, he wasn't that. But I give him credit. He went out and he said, I was very strong. Tim Bresnan was stronger. Which a healthy Tim, in my opinion, is as good as anybody.
Oh, yeah, he's tough, man.
Tim, when he's healthy, man, Pushkar, Michael Todd, Sablinkov, any of them. I will put Tim up there against anybody when he's healthy.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. He really is a star in the super match format. I just think that's his bailiwick. It's a place he belongs. He just is so good at it.
And he's so cool.
Yeah.
He's just so cool.
Yeah,
he's just awesome.
He's all right.
I love him.
Yeah, we're gonna have him on here in a couple of weeks. We're gonna talk about you too. So.
Oh boy, he'll be saying, "I hate Peter."
Don't worry, the stuff he'll say about me on my own show will all of that.
He told me about you already.
I bet we trained for every single Saturday for 7 years. I trained with him, and
you're lucky.
As he said on Craig Soublier's show, we took him from a fat kid who had no strength to someone who could actually arm wrestle. That's what he said about me. So,
that's a big compliment from him because he's a little tough with the compliments.
That's the nicest thing I've ever heard from Tim.
The only thing Tim likes is animals. If you're an animal, he likes you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't care for you.
Yeah,
my wife was just saying that because I'm friends with him on Facebook, and Tim is not shy with his opinions.
Oh no.
But almost every day, post some kind of nice thing about animals that are rescued or some cute little bunny hopping around. I just love it. I love it.
Yeah, any super heavyweight that wants to beat Tim, just give him a kitten before the match, and it'll be so easy.
He'll melt.
It'll be so easy, dude. You have no idea.
Unless but we whisper in Tim's ear before the match, that guy hurt the kitten before the match.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, don't do that.
That'll be trouble.
Bad news.
Yeah, Tim is awesome.
Yeah, I love
so
that
Peter, I have another question. One thing that I've been complaining about, and I told everybody in WL this, not that anybody listens, but I tell them anyway.
I listen, Josh.
You listen, thank you. That's why we're here talking, because you're one of the few people that actually listens to me. But they flooded this country with tournaments, 5, 6 on the same weekend, sometimes 3 within driving distance of one another. So you end up with 3 tournaments with 25 people each.
Right.
So you're not doing that, but you do have a lot that are coming quickly and back to back to back. And I was worried about a similar thing with, at least for these early tournaments, there's not a lot of lead-in time. Like around here, I know a lot of people can't go this weekend because, the relatively short notice.
Right.
And I'm wondering, do you think that, as you continue to roll out, what kind of model are you going to use for scheduling tournaments and placement and that sort of thing?
Well, we're fortunate enough to have a great promotion company working with us now. The same people did the Pacquiao-Bradley fight.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to try our lead time is going to be 6 months on the tournaments.
Okay.
But we got tied up a little bit here. We got a late start with American Armfighter. We had tied up with some other things. And we're trying to play catch up now because we have to get enough tournaments in, get some states done, get some regionals done so we can get the nationals, because in December we're having the World Cup. So we're going to take some bumps in the beginning, but Igor's committed to it. He's not afraid to drop some dollars in the game, and get through some of this early stuff, and then run some real professional tournaments in the next couple months. Now we have our with the tribal council, we have our tournament scheduled out for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking to Marriott now. We'll have that done by this week. We'll have Hilton's done by next week. We'll have Disney's done by next week. So by the end of next week, our calendar will be full, and that will be it.
Okay.
Everybody will know where they're going and how they're getting there.
That sounds good.
We took a little in the face, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, I guess that's sort of inevitable when you're starting a new company and you want to have tournaments for people to sign up, that the first couple of people may sit back and wait to see, is this the real deal or is this nothing? And then once they get people saw the post that Vazquez and Herman put up, and I'm sure a few of them are like, damn, I should have gone. And, as the weeks go by, more and more people will show up, hopefully, because I do think it's great. I don't know if you guys have any plans to try to coordinate with the WAL or schedule tournaments on different weekends or far enough apart so people can do both. And that leads me into the question I really wanted to talk to you about, Peter, which is the contracts. I know you posted a few things about it, and I think people definitely appreciate the stuff you posted and the seeming approach that PAL has towards the contracts. But I want to give you a chance to talk about it a little, because I know it's a very hot topic right now.
Okay. As far as us working with the WAL, that will probably never happen. because they have no idea about working with anyone ever.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't want to do it. Now, as far as like USAF, UAL, we've talked to everybody else. Leonard and Denise were actually with us for a short time.
Yep.
Good people, great people. We coordinate with them. We don't want to step on their toes. They don't want to step on ours. We can work this out with everybody. WAL just doesn't want to play next with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to our tournament in California, now I don't know who did it. Somebody, obviously Pinhead, sent emails to everyone in that area who's pulled a previous WL tournament and said, you cannot compete in a PL tournament because you're a contracted athlete. Even novices, guys who never won a contest, they're telling them they're contracted athletes. And these people are drinking the Kool-Aid thinking they're Devin Lorette.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
Our contracts are this. When you show up to one of our events, you must wear an American Armfighter shirt. Now you're saying, how could you say that? Well, we're going to give it to you. It's a free shirt. Wear it. We're not charging you for the shirt. You cannot promote anyone else's contest at our tournaments. If you pull here on Saturday, you want to go do something else on Sunday, go, God bless you. That's fine. If you pull a PAL event like a Vendetta, prior to the warm-up, any publicity that needs to be done, anytime our marketing people need to talk to you, you must wear the shirts we provide you. You're contracted for that event and that event only.
Mm.
There's no long-term contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is for the event. Listen, we want everybody to pull everywhere. Listen, there's not enough tournaments for everybody anyway. Get out there and pull, man. Enjoy yourselves.
Mm.
And that's where people get better too, is if you can get out
It's
there
the only way
and
to
pull.
get better.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you love to see Pushkar and Lorette left-handed, or Saplinkov and Chafee again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some moron posted the other day on Facebook that the real arm wrestlers are in WAL. Well, I got some sad news for everybody. I guarantee if anybody wants to do it anytime, I can bring 20 that'll beat their best one.
Mm.
I mean, who's going to beat Pushkar? Who's going to beat Trubin? Who's going to beat Michael Todd? Best out of 6.
Mm.
You know, it's just craziness. Zolaev from 175 to 198. Where are you going?
That's true.
I know.
He's tough.
He's brutal.
I remember
That was we were actually, John and I were talking about the Chris Chandler Zoelev match. That's a big difference in weight in that one.
No, it's not. Chris is 226 now.
Is
Is
he
that
really?
right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Igor's got us on a hard diet, man. He's killing us.
Wow.
He's murdering us.
Is Chris out in Vegas now? Is Chris
Is he
out?
what?
Is Chris out in Vegas now?
He just left for Indiana. He was out here for a long time with us. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we trained 4 days a week together.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was coming out there or was already out there.
He's already out here. Yeah.
Okay.
He's super, man. Chris is a super guy. So strong.
Really
Yeah,
strong
yeah.
and just a really nice guy.
Just a good guy. Yes.
Yeah, never
He was
had
a
anything bad.
level-headed ref too at that at the Vendetta when people were leaning over him, yelling and screaming. He was very calm and cool about it, which is very important, I think.
I held my breath a little bit there. Because he's not that calm and cool.
He was at that table.
Yeah, he was great. No, he's a
So,
professional. He
yeah.
bit his tongue. After the thing, I said, Chris, thank you. Thank you. He's like, oh, it was hard. I said, you did it, though. It's good.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
So,
It was
Peter,
good
what
stuff.
brought you out to Vegas? You said you were from Pennsylvania?
Business.
Or, okay.
Business. I'm from Pennsylvania, and my wife and I are in banking. We used to come out here on vacation to Vegas 3 or 4 times a year, and our accountant said, you need to make that a business trip, so open a small office out there. Well, in a short time, our small office in Vegas was killing our 4 offices in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
So here we are.
When did you move
That's
out
a good
there?
reason.
12 years ago.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I still have a house in PA and a house in Georgia. So I go around, I move a little bit every now and again,
Okay.
you know, depending on what's going on.
So you started arm wrestling in 1986.
Hmm.
And what titles have you accumulated?
The same year you were
or-
born.
Yeah, yeah.
Coincidentally,
Yeah, fun, right?
let's remind everybody how young John is and how old we are.
John, my goatee is older than you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Damn, that actually might be true now that I think about it.
Back in the day, you know, a lot of probably 70 state tournaments,
Right.
Northeast regionals, Atlantic Coast, finished second in the world. Just, you know, things like that. Just Richard Lupke's kicked my ass. I was 198. I got to see him in an overall, and he was a friggin' tank, and he just blew me off the table.
Yeah.
Thought I got hit by a bus.
Yeah, that happens.
It was something, man.
Yeah.
19-year-old, 198 pounder going up there with Lupke's. I was like,
Oh,
what the
man,
hell?
yeah.
Mm.
That's tough.
Until he grabbed me, I thought I was going to win. But once he grabbed me, I knew I wasn't.
Was that back in the 80s?
That was back in the 80s.
So he was like, all he did was just press back then. So
he was so strong.
Oh, I know. I mean,
you have no idea how strong he was. I've locked up with all of them. I mean, when Truman was out, we trained with him. We're fortunately with Igor, we get to train with a lot of super guys.
Sure.
I will tell you right now, side pressure, Richard Lupke's in the 80s. No one had anything ever close to what he had.
Yeah, and that's what basically everybody who's ever touched that guy's hand back in the 80s said. So
he was unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So how did you get in contact with Igor?
I stopped arm wrestling for about 26 years. Became a fat dog.
This is so familiar to me.
You went about 3-0. I was 308 last year. Ray's out here. You know Reza DeMallingham out here from Vegas?
I do.
He trains with Igor. And I don't know. I think somebody we knew in common said, Reza trains. He's having a little tournament. Why don't you show up? So it was a Saturday. I said, not far from my house. I showed up. It was WAL, and I won. Then I went on to the next level and won. And I got lucky. And then the Nationals were 2 weeks later, and I went there and I won. And I said, oh, shit, I could still do this.
Yeah, lucky, yeah.
I was training with Reza, and I met Igor. And I met Igor actually at a WAL event. Here's how cool Igor is. The WAL event did not have a proper table. Igor got in his truck and drove down to PL headquarters and brought the PAL table up for the WAL event.
Wow.
Which is, think they'd do that for him? No.
No, they would not do that for him. That's great.
I had a torn bicep, but I wanted to pull anyway because I wanted to qualify for the next level. And I was struggling, but unfortunately I was lucky enough to get through it, and I won. And Igor came over to me and he said, why are you pulling like that? He said, that's not the way I've seen you pull before. Translated, of course. I said, because I have a torn bicep. He said, how do you know? I said, I went to the doctor. He said, and you're pulling with that? He said, yes. He said, you come train with me. Igor likes art. He
Yep.
So from that, and I'll tell you, I've been training with Igor about 3 months now. The difference is phenomenal. I mean, what he did with Chris Chandler. Where do you see Chris Chandler now? What he changed Chris in that short time, forget it. Because he measures us on these crazy machines, the computers, and down to the jewel in your fingers. You saw all that, John. You were there.
Yeah, I actually got to tug on it a little bit when I went to the WAL regionals last year. Me, Ron, Klemba, and Tim all came by and met Kirill and everybody, and they came and drove us there. I'm like, wow, these guys are phenomenal people. Like they came to the hotel and they picked us up and everything, first class, all the way. And yeah, we got to pull on that thing a little bit.
Isn't it crazy? Yeah. It's a weird thing, isn't it?
It's a very weird sensation because it doesn't move at all.
Yeah, you think, okay, I have it, it's enough, but he's telling you more and more and more.
You're right.
But we learn. I mean, you see your numbers going up. You see your training is working. It's do you know Mike James from Ohio?
I don't.
No.
A new guy, young guy coming up, a good puller, good strong guy, 75er. And Igor, I'm trying to get my certificate to be certified to train Mazurenko arm wrestling. So he makes me take some students. So I have Mike James, and now Fred Dietrich is coming on to be my student. Okay. And Mike James has improved his finger strength 430% in the last 2 months.
Phenomenal.
Just by that training methods. Because we don't know how to train our fingers. Igor does. You guys in the Northeast do, but you don't tell anybody.
That is absolutely true. Just feel Tim Bresnan's fingers.
Yeah, I would go to regionals or Northeast back then. I was from Pennsylvania. You go up to Maine, everybody had a vice grip hand. Yeah. Their fingers were like sausages. I'm like, what are these guys doing up here?
We were lumberjacks.
Keeping it secret.
We're lumberjacks up there, man.
Yeah, lumberjacks.
that's tough crew, man.
That's my
tough
hometown.
Crew. That's a good crew up there.
Yeah, it's fun training with them. Let me tell you. Good.
You know Artie?
Artie
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
God, yeah.
That old bastard.
Yeah, I used to train when I was my theories on training are a little different than a lot of guys. I prefer mostly table time, and it's 3 to 4 times a week on the table as hard as I can. And for a long time, I was training at the Dungeon in Connecticut on Saturdays, which was a 2-hour drive for me for the last 7 years.
Wow.
And then I would drive an hour and a half to Badgers on Wednesday nights. And I used to train with those two every single week. And then there'd be some times where I'd bump it up to 4 times. And I would go down to Team Mass, and I'd hit somebody else up on a Sunday. So Yeah, I know Badger very well.
Old bastard.
Yeah.
Tell him I said he's an old bastard.
Oh, he knows. He knows.
I'll probably see him on the 15th. I think he's going to nationals this year, right?
I'm sure
he might be. I'm going to be up there.
You'll be up there? Yeah. What are you pulling?
I'm trying to decide whether or not I'm going to try to go to Bulgaria. If I decide that I'm going to try to do that, then I'll only be pulling Masters. If I'm just going to do it for fun, then I'll pull 98s across the board, Open and Masters.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'll be in Masters 220 and Supers and actually the old guys, because I'm old. I'll be in that class too.
Okay, yeah.
Masters 220 and Supers.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Josh is a good 98er. He's a solid 98 pound. He's gonna be.
Oh, I know he is. I looked you guys up before I came on the show.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Make sure I wasn't get ambushed.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Don't forget, I'm a banker.
Yeah. Okay.
We have bad meetings all the time.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Yeah. Usually half the meetings are ambushes, so you got to be ready.
Yeah.
When John and I decided to do this, we said we have to make sure we laugh a lot on all of these interviews. So far, so good.
Yeah. Are you guys?
It's fun. It's supposed to be fun. The sport's supposed to be very collegial, and everybody gets along great. And so the fact that there's even any type of divisiveness is silly,
crazy.
And it's like let's try to do what we can to turn that around a little bit. I really think what you guys are planning to do is great. I think we need it in the United States, and hopefully some of this, AAA, USAA, USAF. It would be nice if some of those guys got back together and we could collaborate on a single national championship like other countries have. And it's somewhat ridiculous to say that now because of all the disagreements and various arguments that have happened over the last decades, but it would be nice to see that happen at some point. If we could say there was a real nationals, and maybe some of the others stick around, but there would be an event that everybody would know this is the real nationals. If you want to see how you stand against the best in the United States, this is where you go.
Well, hopefully in a couple of years that'll be the American Armfighter Finals.
I hope it happens, man.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Have you guys seen our platform, ArmBets TV?
I have, yeah. I watched Vendetta on it, actually.
Okay, that's the skinned down version. Right now, we've converted it to a real network, and maybe we can talk to you guys about doing a show, because Craig's doing a show for us on there, and we have 2 reality shows planned, and it's a real TV network now. It's got hundreds of thousands of followers over in Europe and Asia, and we're trying to bring it up to the U.S. here because we need something that we can watch and enjoy that speaks our language.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, we're a different kind of people. Arm wrestlers are some weird dudes.
That's true. That is true.
That's very true. What kind of viewership do you get for the Vendettas worldwide?
Yeah, unfortunately, the viewership is huge. 58% of our viewers are in Russia, which is insane.
It's a lot.
It's about 18% in U.S. Russia, Ukraine, Bulgaria, Poland, kill it over there. And if you look at the difference in the economies, our people make so much more money.
Right.
It would be so much easier for our people to view it, but I think everything's so diluted. You have this, you have that. Everybody, 15 nationals, 25 different leagues, and no one's working together. And there's nothing wrong with 25 leagues if everybody had a common goal. If everyone worked together for the same thing. Let's put together a U.S. team that's the real U.S. team.
Yeah, I agree with that.
US team.
I totally agree with that. I mean, if you look at boxing, for a long time, the 3 belts were separated, and then they finally came together, and they stayed together for a while. Now they're kind of separated again. But, there's no reason that – first of all, USAA and USAF were at one point the same organization, and then they sort of broke off. Why do we need 2 nationals there? And then you got AAAs, which was the nationals when we started, Peter, in the late 80s. That was the nationals. That was the one everybody that I knew wanted to win was AAA.
AAA was it.
Yeah. And so what if AAA and American Armfighter joined together, for example? That's something that's like, why can't we do that kind of stuff? For the legitimacy of the sport.
We sent out an email to all of the organizations telling them that we're coming to town. This is what we're doing. In Igor's words, please welcome. We want to work with everybody. We want to do everything together. Because eventually, and I know I'm biased in saying this, but if you look at the World Cup, if you look at Zloty, you look at the European Championship, you look at the Russian Championship, look at the A1, the Nemirov, that's all Igor. Those tournaments, like the Zloty has 25,000 spectators.
I know, it's crazy.
That's going to happen here too. We'd rather do it in conjunction with everybody. We don't want to be the bullies pushing everybody off the cliff. Let's all join together and make it great.
Right. Yeah, especially all these guys who have been working for so long to make something happen. It's like maybe it took 90% of their work to have Igor come in and just channel it somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, people have been trying so hard for so long. It's not like it's not like they haven't been trying and they're being they've done anything wrong. They're just maybe missing a piece of the puzzle that the American public, or even arm wrestlers in general, just need to, you know, have that little extra piece to make it a full thing. You know?
You know what I learned long ago, many years ago in business, and I know business. I know a little bit about arm wrestling. I know a little bit more about business. I learned that I don't know everything. So what we did is we sat down with the round table. You know, we brought Leonard in, who's the best referee there is. Denise runs great tournaments. Some other promoters. We brought in some marketing people. We brought in some promoters for boxing, because who promotes fights better than boxing and MMA?
Sure.
You know, that's who we brought in. And we said, what are we doing wrong? And the promoter, we had a meeting with him again yesterday. He said, you're doing everything wrong. Arm wrestling does everything wrong. I said, okay. And he drew it up on the chalkboard, or the whiteboard, and he's right. He's right. We all fight each other. We all torture each other. We have 95 weight classes, 200 different sets of rules. How can you wrap your mind around it?
Yeah.
You know,
that is the one thing too, in my opinion, that's been holding the sport back, maybe more than anything else, are all the different rules.
It's crazy.
I mean, I'm the kind of guy, when it comes to rules, when it comes to, me and Josh talked about this with straps, I enjoy the straps the way they are. I have no problem with the straps. But if you want to change the straps, or if you want to change a rule, I have zero issue with it. Just tell everybody so I can train that way. I will adapt to anything that is universal. If we say the masses decided that this is the best way to do it right here, even if I don't agree, I don't care. Just let me know, so then I can become really good at it. So then I don't, you know, that's my opinion. In my opinion, that's a professional opinion.
But the problem is, if you're going to compete on the world market, we have to do what the world is doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, we all have to do the same thing. And fortunately, right now with us, we're on board with everyone else. Everyone follows our rules. Yeah. They're the same rules. Yeah. They're the universal rules for arm wrestling. So when you come to the World Cup, or you go to a WAF, or you go anywhere, if you're doing a running start and they're doing a real start, a lock your hands, ready, go start, it's a whole different world.
Absolutely is. Absolutely.
You know,
yeah. I mean, I agree with you, John, on, you know, the preparation. If you know what to expect, you can train for it. But I still, as you know, I do have strong opinions about the strap, and that, you know, what we use, and the fairer strap is definitely better. I think everybody agrees about that, but I think most people agree that it's still not fair. Correct. And I feel like, you know, all the engineers we have, who are arm wrestlers, and all these smart people we have, we should be able to figure out a strap system that is legitimately, truly fair, to, equivalent across styles, so it doesn't favor hook over top roll or what have you, and is exactly the same regardless of which side of the buckle you get or whatever the system would be. I feel like that, again, back to my earlier point of delegitimizing the sport, things like that. I mean, in chess, one person's going to get white, one person's going to get black, and you can't change it because the pieces are black and white. But with the straps, we can do whatever we want. I mean, really, we just have to. I feel like that's a weakness. The straps is probably the number one on my list, because it is not the same, you know, depending on which side you get for the buckle, for example.
Yeah, and I will say this, Josh. I said I liked them. I didn't say they were fair. No,
I think about. Go ahead, John.
No, I was just gonna say I agree. I agree with you. You know,
the thing about the strap is, the strap's not a fair mechanism.
Right.
Igor trains us hours. Look at Tim Bresnan. You're getting a strap with Tim, you're done.
Yeah.
Or who you are. He has the strap down to a science. And Igor trains us hours every week on the strap. There's so many nuances with the strap. How it's positioned, which way the wrinkle is, which way you hold your hand, depending on if you have the buckle or not. Huge differences.
Yeah.
The strongest guy doesn't always win. The guy who knows how to use a strap will win.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the part that irritates me. It's why I was calling it a biathlon on that article, because there's such a difference between arm wrestling and arm wrestling in the strap, where we've all seen people, you know, like Rob Vidgen, who's probably just about pound for pound the strongest guy going, get blasted by someone who's much weaker than him because he does, you know, he has a better understanding of the straps. That stuff, it drives me crazy. You know, it's like, come on. I mean, that's not I mean, some people like to, that mantra, the strap never lies, but it's complete crap. It lies all the time. And people that have become, and wisely, I might add, become incredibly proficient in the straps, like Tim Bresnan or Jason Vale or Bill Sinks, guys that are already tremendous pullers anyway. And then you put them in the straps and they become almost unbeatable because they've, as you were saying, probably similar to what Igor does, they train hours and hours and hours and learn the intricacies of it that we don't, the average person doesn't have, and they just smoke you. But I mean, that's why, I hope people try out the single loop thing. Rob Vidgen turned me on it. It was Ryan Bowen's in Australia's idea initially. And I always see people try and see if they can make it not work or find some weaknesses that delegitimize it, because, we've used it a lot. And what I really like about it is you can top roll, you can hook, you can press from it equally. There's not an advantage to one side and the other. And because your wrists are not bound, just your hands, you have full range of motion in your wrist. So it's actually, to me, it feels like arm wrestling in the way that the current straps don't.
Someone will figure it out. Someone will figure a way to beat it, how to cheat it. You know that.
Yeah, obviously, that's true.
Yeah.
It's always how it goes.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with any new idea. No problem at all. I'd love to try it. I actually think I did try it at Vidgen's house.
Yeah.
At one point. And I was fine with it. Whatever. Fine with me. No problem.
As long as you're both wearing the same strap, what's the difference, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't care. Yeah.
No, I get it.
So, any other topics you wanted to bring up there, Peter, we haven't gotten to cover?
Well, I'd like to talk a little bit about John Milne.
Okay.
Johnny Boy.
I know who he is.
Yeah, he's we have a date. We had a date May 7th that got pushed back. That's one of the things that drives me a little bit crazy about our sport because of the way it's growing. But it happens in boxing as well. Different venues want different dates, or different venues want different fights. And when the casino says we want this fight, what do? You give it to them. There's nothing to say.
Yep.
It just happens. But we were supposed to go at it May 7th, but now it's going to be July 16th up in Twin Rivers on that mega card, which we'll be lost in. No one's going to give a crap about it. You're like two piranha with a bunch of sharks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Undercard.
Yeah, very much undercard. But it's going to be a nice match. We've been kind of having some words for a couple of years now.
Really? Have you pulled before?
No, we have a mutual opponent. It actually started because you guys probably know Robert Baxter.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Good friend.
Utah?
Robert and I were having a conversation, and John Milne somehow got involved in the conversation. And Robert, being the perfect gentleman, he goes, "Oh, John, wow, this was just after Nationals where Robert and I went at it." He said, "John, you and Pete would be a nice match. That'd be something to see." And John, "I'll kill him. I'll smash him." John's crazy. He's out of his mind. And he's going on. I said, "You know what?" And things got heated. And from that point on, it's been coming. Let's call it like that. It's been happening.
Is there a weight class on this bout?
It's going to be a 231 American Armfighter, 231, under 231.
What are you walking around at now?
227.
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I'm going to get down to 210 eventually, the 210 to 210 class. But for that one, because it was May 7th, it was signed at 231. John's about 220, so we're about the same size.
Okay.
Yeah.
That should be a pretty
it's great, man. I love this kind of stuff because the super match format, you get a lot more of this kind of cool stuff. It's the matchmaking, the personalities. With 7 weight classes, you get all these different people in each weight class, many of whom have very loud and aggressive, fun personalities. It makes you interested. You want to watch it. I already want to see what happens now. You know what I mean? I haven't seen either of you guys arm wrestle. I'm like, this is going to be good.
You don't even know. We both could suck, right? Who cares? It's going to be fun. The thing is, like the promotion guys say, the arm wrestlers aren't going to make arm wrestling great, make it a big, mainstream sport. It's the housewives. It's the cousins. It's the sisters. When they start saying, "Hey, man, that John Brown's a really cool guy. He's going to kick Joshua Grant's ass," that kind of thing, people get into it.
That has happened.
Oh, come on now.
Well, we saw him coming. We just hit on him. We knew he was a monster when he came to train. We avoided him. But that's what people need. You need a little MMA in it. You need a little excitement. Like I tell Igor all the time, the Eastern Europeans come over, they're monsters. But they come up silently, they shake hands, they fight like hell, shake hands and go away quiet.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. I was sitting at the casino in the last Vendetta, where people were like, why aren't these people getting more into it? Why aren't they aggressive? Why aren't they? Because that's not how they are. They're stoic.
Yeah.
You cut their arm off, they'll stand there and say it's okay.
Yeah, they will.
It's good. It's okay. but we need a little more. We're Americans. We need a little more flair, a little more action.
So basically, people that do these PAL tournaments and they go to regionals, I mean, the top 2 people at one of the levels of the tournaments you guys are going to be running will be considered for future vendettas. Is that right?
It'll be the top 2 in the nationals.
In the nationals, okay. So so basically you're going to have 7 weight classes. So that's 14 people, right-handed and left-handed, that are potential future vendetta card guys.
They're guaranteed at least one vendetta fight. If they do well, if they fight hard, they don't have to win. If they put a good show on and fight hard, they earn their spot.
I think that's great.
I like that.
And the top 8 in the nationals is qualified for the World Cup.
Okay, that's great.
Very nice.
I mean, it's something to look forward to, something to train for.
Exactly. And once we put the calendar out this week, everyone will have an opportunity to see what's what and be able to set your schedule, because let's face it, we all, well, except for John, we all don't train every day all year. Some of us like to get fat in between.
Every day.
He's a maniac. We pull once a week and my arm feels like it's going to fall off.
He wears everybody out, man. I mean, up here, down where he is now, he's got people canceling on him because they're all worn out and sore. It's the same thing up here.
It took me 1 month to break them. 1 month. They said I'm too sore. Can't do it.
You with Chandler. Chandler's like that. He'll go for days. You and Chandler get on a table and kill each other.
I'll tell you right now, if there was somebody like within 10 minutes, every single day I would train. Every day I would train on the table.
You're crazy, man.
I know, I've heard things, but I just don't feel pain, I guess. Never felt it.
It definitely does not work for everybody. I mean, I've been doing a lot of what John does. I would say usually it's 3 times a week for me, which is still a lot, but 3 times a week. Yeah, pulling. That's what I did the last. It is a lot, but I don't know. It feels all right, but I don't think it's the same for every type, for everybody's body. Some people can't either don't adjust to it, or their, the tendons or whatever, just the genetics don't support it. But I mean, I don't know if you've been following Engine's posts on, arm wrestling, the various forums, where he basically does no table time and does all strength training, targeted strength training to specific muscles to support the techniques that he uses. And then for Worlds, at least what he posted is he did 1 table training session in the 4 months leading up to Worlds, where he won both the Masters and the Seniors, which is the standard open classes. And, so the differential will be, the difference in the way we train and the way they train is gigantic. I mean, they're focusing weights, and we tend to focus much more on table and technique.
It's not even weights. We train, Igor trains that way. That's his training. It's cables. It's
cables,
it's everything.
Yeah.
We don't lift weights. And when we pull on Saturday, it's not competing. It's technique, it's fittings, it's locking up, it's gripping. There's no real pulling, except when Chris and I get on the table and Igor yells at us, but that's okay.
It's gotta happen every once in a while.
You gotta do it. You lock up with Chandler, you gotta pull. You can't just stand there.
No, you cannot. You gotta take advantage of that.
You gotta try. You gotta get some on that, right?
I know. I used to pull Tim, so
I know exactly. You want to just get some.
Yeah. I'm 1-0 against Tim on TV, by the way.
Well, that's awesome. That's something no one else can say. It's big.
He's gonna hear about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna call him as soon as we're done here.
That's fine. That's fine. My phone will ring too.
Yeah, he'll get you.
Yes, he will.
He'll be like, "Hey, John, what are you talking about?"
He was so mad at me for moving. He was so mad.
He's still bitching about that.
I know. I hear it all the time.
Yeah, I said, Tim, I don't know him. He seems like a good guy, but what are you telling me for? Whatever.
He's like,
you're like Old Faithful when it comes to training, and he needs that. The way Tim trains, he's very endurance based and technique based, and working with people like you is exactly what he needs. So it's a big loss.
I'm gonna start Skype charging him some lessons and stuff.
Well, I noticed you whispered in his ear between all the matches. I was like, is John gonna start taking credit for the victory? What was the magic words you told him in between matches and all that kind of stuff? It was very impressive. You're like his coach.
Going to start? What do you mean? I've been the whole time. I mean, I basically I did it all. What did I tell him for real?
Yeah.
You're stronger than him. That's it. I can see it, honestly, in Vovoda's face when he won the first match on fouls. I could just his face looked like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, because to be honest with you, they had a really hard time holding on to each other.
Yes.
Right there, Voivoda's in trouble because he's a phenomenal, incredible arm wrestler. But it's mostly hand strength based. And I told Tim before we went in, dude, you're not going to be able to top roll him, but he's not going to be able to top roll you. It's probably going to go inside. And he was prepared for it. I mean, he's always been prepared for it. So, and that's basically just what happened. You know, especially with the strap, they're bracing their hands. Both their hands are so strong.
Right.
That they're, you know, they both went to top roll and nothing moved.
Yeah.
Right.
Now you got to pull. And Tim can pull. His
rotation is unreal.
His rotation and his back pressure
it's crazy.
If you try to match that, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
You're done. You can't do it.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that match was actually in the very first, the first time they both went against each other. And they, like you said, they got stalled out in the top roll position.
Yeah.
And Tim let out this yell because at that moment he knew this guy's not stronger than me.
Right.
Tim knew. Yeah.
And then that was it. I felt like that was it. From that point on, his confidence was through the roof, and he didn't give an inch from that point on.
Tim had a game plan. I talked to him at the weigh-ins the day before. He told me exactly how the match was going to go. He called it play-by-play, and he said, and if I get my foot up on the rail, it's over. As soon as I saw that little chubby foot go up on the rail, I said, that son of a bitch called it. He called it, man, and then that was it. Boom. All right.
We planned very hard for very long for that match because it that was going to happen. It got canceled a few times. And I mean, he was in great shape the entire time, but Tim's always going to be super strong. The real question is, Tim, what are you going to do? Are you going to, what's going to be the direction you take your power? And we just really planned. We just planned and planned and planned. And then, you know, I was telling him that Tim, you're stronger. Don't worry about it. And really, I think either after match 3, I just told him, Tim, he can't pin you. So don't worry. So just get where you need to get. He can't pin you. And I mean, I didn't know if it's true or not. You can only guess so much. But
coach, well, that's what you say. You didn't win. Yeah.
Exactly.
But it was really a difference where he get in position and he can't pin me. Now it's just work. It's just work. Don't get out of position, because if you get out of position, he's gonna pin you. But you know, I was just telling him he can't pin you. Just get up there and win. Just keep winning, and he did. You know, luckily.
I'd really love to see Tim against the winner of Trubin and Pushkar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we will. We'll see it. We'll see it.
Absolutely.
I'd like to see it.
That's the great part about the super match format, man. You don't have to worry about who's tired from the tournament, or Jerry Ketter had to pull Tim Bresnan and Travis Bagent, and now he's going up against Dave Chafee, so he's tired. You get them both fresh, and it's a very honest, it's a very true match, and it's really a great format.
And months before, so you're prepared. Both guys keep their best. I mean, you're seeing the best of the best at their best.
No excuse.
Phenomenal.
No excuse. I like
no excuses. Exactly.
I love that.
So it's awesome.
Yeah, man. Hey, this has been great. We used up about an hour of your time. I don't know. Like I said, I wanted to make sure you got enough opportunity to get all the things in there you want to talk about. And I don't know if we missed anything, but
you guys are terrific. This is so awesome that you guys are doing this.
Yeah, it needed to be done, man. That's why we were talking about it for a week, and we're like, let's just do it.
Get the word out, dude. Get it out there. Everybody that hears this, you might pick up a new arm wrestler. You might find the next Tim Bresnan. Who knows?
Exactly. Exactly.
Great job. We're so excited about what you're doing. This is cool.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll have you back on again sometime soon, Peter. And
hopefully after I smash Johnny Mill.
Yeah.
Oh!
Put it out there official. I'm going to smash his ass. No problem.
I love it. We'll get him on here next week. So
Jesus,
let me tell you something. All right, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks, guys.
All right, gentlemen. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Till next time.